Hey hunters, Lord here, back with yet another Sunbreak video. In today's video, I'm going to answer the most important question in the history of Sunbreak. Which raw longsword is truly the best? Today, we'll be pitting the Goldian, Tigrex, and Amatsu longswords up against each other to see which is the strongest raw option. If you're going to make one longsword set so you don't have to do stupid things like element match or make more than one longsword, which of these three swords is going to be worth your hard-earned materials? Let's get straight into it. But before we get started, I have a question for you guys. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have a meal made for you by the legendary Grandmaster Chef? Well, today's sponsor, Factor, wants to help you with that. Factor ships fresh, chef's choice platters right to your door. These meals are designed by top-tier chefs and dietitians to ensure that you're always buffed up for your next hunt. No more meal prep, no more dirty dishes, and no more unhealthy fast food, as Factor provides the most convenient way to eat right. With over 27 meal options and more than 33 add-ons, I can guarantee you that you won't have to reset for food skills. You'll get exactly what you need every time, and there are many different choices for your hunting style. The food arrives pre-prepared and is ready to eat in 2 minutes or less. This way, your hunts will never be interrupted, and you can get back to your monster farming in no time. If you use my link down in the description or go to go.factor75.com and use code FACTORSE36693, you'll get 50% off your first box today. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Let's get right back into it. So starting off with my testing procedure, I built all three sets as best I could with both legitimate charms and legitimate augments, so no curious cheating bullcrap, no edited charms, no, well, it's technically legal. These sets are actually legitimate and obtainable. However, that does mean that these won't be perfect, as the comparison is technically not as accurate as we could make it if we cheated in maximum amount of damage skills for each weapon. However, I feel like this will still be a good damage test for you guys since I'm sure most of you aren't editing your armor or charms for perfection. Secondly, everything will be tested purely on Helmbreakers on the training dummy after clearing the Frenzy. This is so that way we can account for the innate Silkbind boost of the Amatsu longsword, as well as making sure we have max sharpness and the maximum crit available for each set. Of course, this will vary 100% in real hunting situations, and I will definitely touch on that when I compare all of these at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that. However, this was the most consistent way I found to do it to get really good numbers and even critical chance. Hey guys, it's post-edit Lord. I went back and gained a lot of footage, and so I lied about only using Helmbreaker. I'll also be including a non-Silkbind set of attacks to show you how each sword will do across your normal attacks in a hunt. This will be a full spirit combo in yellow gauge, which will get the longsword to the red gauge, as this is something you'll be doing consistently to get off your serene poses or your Helmbreakers. This will be a total damage comparison to show what a full combo will do for each longsword. Next, we'll be comparing both max damage numbers on the Helmbreaker as well as the average damage on all 7 ticks of the Helmbreaker. This will give you guys an idea of both the best hits possible as well as what you should expect from each weapon. Now with all that nerdy math stuff out of the way, let's open up with the sets that I've crafted. I'll be letting each play through, starting here with the Tigrex longsword. This way you'll be able to see the weapon, armor, augments, decorations, charms, and the overall list of skills for each one. Now guys, if at any point you do find yourself enjoying the video, a thumbs up would be super appreciated, as it's a totally free way to help support this video. Now onto the Amatsu longsword. And finally, the gold standard, pun intended, the Goldian longsword. So now that you've seen all the sets, I'm going to put up a side-by-side look of all three. First, as I build up to red gauge, so you can see I've done it the same way, allowing us to clear Frenzy and whatnot. And as I complete the Helmbreaker, I'll pause at the end for the damage. Alright, so now that you guys have seen it, let's go ahead and take a look first at our maximum damage numbers. Starting with Tigrex on the left, we can see 305 obviously is our top damage. For Amatsu, we get 344. And for Goldian, we have a whopping 356. Now, of course, like I said earlier, this is not what we can expect for every hit, as crit, foray, build-up boost, whether you have burst active, whether coalescence is active, or if you've activated bloodlust, all these things will come in to effect on each hit that you take during a hunt. So let's go ahead and look at our averages. So for Tigrex, our total damage numbers were 302, 302, 302, 302, then 305, 305, 305. Add this all together, we get a total of 2,123 damage. Dividing by 7 hits gives us an average Helmbreaker hit of 303.29. For Amatsu, our numbers were 341 4 times and 344 3 times. Adding this all together gives us a total damage of 2,396, again averaged out. Dividing by 7 is an average of 342.29 per hit, a nearly 40 damage increase on average over Tigrex. Finally, for Goldian, we have the largest variance, thanks to build-up boost. 294, 353, 294, 294, 356, 297, 356. This gives us a total of 2,244, which is right in the middle of the other two. And divided by 7, we get an average hit of 320.57, again, pretty much right in the middle of the other two. So now for the full spirit combo damage comparison, we'll be able to see how each weapon plays in its normal attacks, building up your gauge to red. We'll also get to see the variance in crit prior to the activation of the 25% from Bloodlust. Starting with the Tigrex Longsword, you can see we hit for 339, 258, 164, 142, 405, and 459, which adds up to a total of 1,767 on a full spirit combo. For Amatsu, we have 359, 380, 170, 191, 311, and then 475. This adds up to a total of 1,886, which is higher by a little over 100 than Tigrex, but you can see some areas, like the second to last hit, where the lower crit is causing Amatsu to hit for less on a single hit than the Tigrex Longsword. Finally, for Goldian, we have 334, 355, 140, 161, 478, and 452. This adds up to a total of 1,920, which is the highest of all three longswords. This shows how having the highest crit, plus having the additional damage from foray and build-up boost, is going to be the most consistent damage across a full hunt. Now, what does this mean as far as the best longsword goes? Let's go ahead and break it down by each longsword, weighing both the pros and the cons. Starting off with the Tigrex Longsword, the pros are the highest raw out of the box, has no element, which means it'll work the same across every monster. It has good sharpness, has the middle affinity of the three options. However, as far as the cons go, it has no Silkbind boost, gets no benefit from build-up boost or foray, and it hit for both the lowest number and the lowest average in our testing. Moving on to the Amatsu Longsword, the pros, it has Silkbind boost, meaning that this will hit the hardest on all your Silkbind attacks for sure. Having water element does mean that this will easily be the best longsword for any water-weak monsters. It has very good sharpness, it has the second highest raw of all three longswords, and it has a level 3 Rampage deco, which can use the Kushala to negate some of the negative affinity or still fit in an anti-species deco. For the cons, it has the highest negative affinity, the most negative affinity? I don't know. Negative 25% affinity. Now, the flip side of having build-up boost is that its normal attacks do not get any benefit from the Silkbind boost. This means for the most part, when you're building up your gauge, you're not going to be getting the extra damage. Finally, for Goldian, the pros are it gets the benefits of both foray and build-up boost, giving it a massive damage and affinity boost. This allows for the most consistent damage across a normal hunt, meaning both your normal gauge building attacks and your Silkbind attacks. This one will either be your best or second best option. It has great poison, which is free damage over time, which really does add up, especially as you get into higher level afflicted monsters. It has great slots, and 10% positive affinity from the rip, which means it's the only one with positive affinity and the only one with slots. Now for its cons, it has the lowest starting raw of the 3 longsword, albeit only by 5. It doesn't get a benefit of Silkbind boost, and it does need handicraft or multiple sharpness augments to get any purple sharpness at all. So TLDR, all 3 are really great longswords, and no matter which one you choose, you can be confident that you're picking a very solid option. You really can't go wrong here. All 3 are going to be viable for the endgame of Sunbreak, and this is a really good thing in my opinion. Being stuck with just one singular meta option can get really boring, and being able to switch it up whenever we want gives us good variety and makes it a lot more fun for us as hunters. Guys, of course, if you do have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. If you have any questions on my methodology or how I built the sets, or if you just want some clarification, I'm more than happy to answer your questions as long as you ask respectfully. So that's really all I have for this one, guys. If you did find the video helpful, be sure to leave a like down below. If you're new to the channel, find yourself returning on the regular, or if you're new to Monster Hunter, do consider hitting that subscribe button for more Monster Hunter content just like this. And with all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.